Good morning, my brothers and sisters and all my friends. This morning we are going to talk about the secret wisdom, the Gupt Vidya, part 5th. And today we are going on a big pilgrimage, beginning with the relationship of mother and child, totally based on the trust, the engaged trust, the trust which was born out of the experience of the child, the trust which was born out of the experience of the social interactions and every other social being or the men of the family and the society told and taught this child that she is your mother. He got the confirmation from others, what he learned from own experience, that she is my mother, but not through the memory. It's the engaged trust which we cultivate with the help of experiential wisdom. And this experiential wisdom is supposed to become a truth realization. A realization of the truth through the experiential wisdom, and then it must become and transform into evolutionary wisdom. The wisdom of choice, the wisdom of selection, what Sir Charles Darwin called natural selection, we call here the engaged selection, with application of the intellect, with application of the experiences and the experiential wisdom. The life principle makes a choice, and it's an active choice. And as we know that all the entities, all the organisms which are infinite forms and infinite organisms, but we are together, as we have discussed before, through the universal interconnectedness and the universal interdependence, that we behave as one organism, a great Virat universal organism, a global organism. We behave like, and through that we all aspire, we all choose, and we declare and proclaim our choice, aspiration, evolutionary aspiration. And that is like democracy. We all experience the truth of life and existence through our experiences. And then we make the active choices and we vote. This is the universal franchise. And everyone votes and declares the choice, the evolutionary aspiration. And when this whole process of democratic franchise, the democratic voting of these all the organisms join together as one aspiration, the evolution gets the direction. That's the evolutionary arrow, the arrow of the time. And we do all that. We are active participants in this process of universal evolution. Like in a democracy, every citizen is a participant. And the nation behaves like one organism. In exactly the same way, the whole humanity behaves like one organism, like a nation of humanity. And this nation of humanity allows its every member of the humankind family to vote for this evolutionary aspiration, the evolutionary urge. Because we all are driven by evolutionary urge. Because we all are driven by, let's do something better. That's the human nature. We always try to improve. Yes, of course we know that the human change is very slow. We are very slow to change because we are so possessive about our status quo. We become so possessive. That's our mind. Our mind operates through the Hamkara, and the Hamkara is based on self-possessiveness. So it takes time to change, but we eventually change according to our evolutionary urge and evolutionary aspirations. My dear brothers and sisters, so whole our story of evolution is engaged selection. So this child establishes this truth of experiential wisdom, and then he moves on to apply this engaged trust in all the relationships. What he learned at home with mama, this organism, this human being, this child will apply that engaged trust in all the relationships, and we are not only the wisdom organisms, but we are the relational organisms. We are like a hub, and we have relations with the whole universe. So we establish relationships based on engaged trust. So then all our enterprises, all our interactions for the biological needs, for the cultural demands, and all our aesthetic demands, we give a shape to all the human activity as the enterprise of life, as the business of life, as the business of existence. So we are talking about this evolution of engaged trust, beginning with a mother and child, then with the family, the brothers and sisters, and then out of the family, the friends. And from friends, we move on to neighborhood, then to community, the tribe community, then the whole village, then our district and our town and our county, and then the state and the nation. So we keep on growing our relationships. My dear brothers and sisters, we are waiting for the future Buddha. And his name is Maitreya. Future Buddha, Maitreya, is going to teach us how to transform our relationships into friendships, into Maitreya. Can you imagine how beautiful it will be? Our whole sphere of business of life and existence will change into the sphere of universal friendship. When we will establish the friendship with sun and moon and stars and the whole universe and every brother and sister on earth, the whole ecosystem of universal friendship. What a beautiful Maitreya Buddha we are waiting for, the future Buddha. So we are not only the organisms of wisdom, but we are also the organisms of relations. And we keep on growing our relationships, not only in the family, but through the community, the district, the nation, the whole planet, and then the whole universe. As the great saint of Italian origin, the father of Assisi, the saint of Assisi, Father Francis, and he used to call the moon and the stars and sun and the birds and everybody as his family members, brothers and sisters. We have a choice. We could enjoy this life, we could enjoy this existence on planet Earth as really rich people. We don't have to play so poor. We don't have to be so poor, my brothers and sisters. It is so beautiful. And believe me, it is the heaven. Only that with our attitude, we make it hell. Otherwise, the God gave us the Garden of Eden. My dear brothers and sisters, we are going to evolve our engaged trust into enterprise. And let me tell you this story of this enterprise, how it grew and how it evolved, how this engaged trust became very beautiful, divine trust. We transform this engaged trust into honest trust, trust which is based on honesty, which is based on service, which is based on universal empathy and universal compassion and the universal attitude of service to the community. So, in the beginning, all the enterprise was sole proprietorship. It was self-possessed. It was a status quo. And our mind didn't allow us to go further than that. So all the enterprises were sole proprietorship, complete ownership, possessiveness, but this is my shop, this is my enterprise. And then we moved on to end sons. We included our children in this sole proprietorship. And when we included our sons, we said and sons. I'm sorry, we didn't include our daughters because we are growing. We are evolving our consciousness. And a day will come when we will also say, and our daughters. So then it evolved into sole proprietorship, evolved into and sons. And then from and sons, we said, well, it is very small little sphere of activity and enterprise. I need to grow. So our enterprise grew into private limited company. Incorporation of our business enterprise into private limited. And in this private limited company, the sphere of activity and the enterprise grew. And we took some directors, we took some advisors, we took in the management of this enterprise some directors, the people who have experience and the people who would like to join us in this union and help us with their experience and their wisdom and their advice and their directions. So, directors. So we took the directors in, strangers. But the only qualification for them, we said, doesn't matter about the family members, doesn't matter about the friends, but anyone who has the experience, who has the wisdom, and who has the urge, and who loves this kind of activity of enterprise is welcome to join us as directors of private limited company. So, we extended the trust. We extended the field of the trust, the circle of trust, engaged trust. So we formed the private limited company of our enterprise. Then, my brothers and sisters, we still felt very small. And we said, well, I want to grow into a big Virat. I want to grow into a big enterprise. So we decided to let this enterprise become and grow into public limited company. Can you feel the growth? Can you feel the evolution of the engaged trust? And the trust was extended to the public who could participate with their money and investments as shareholders. So they become the stakeholders in the loss and profit of this company, in the loss and profit of this enterprise, and into the future of this enterprise. They all become the stakeholders. So we invited the whole public, the whole nation, everybody who has spare money to invest, and who would buy the shares, and who would buy the stake in our company. So we made it like the public limited company. Can you feel the growth of the human being becoming greater and bigger, the whole enterprise? Then, my dear brothers and sisters, came our modern time. Because these public limited companies also became the fiefdoms. Why I say fiefdoms? Because they become personal kingdoms of few people, few families, controlling the whole future of this enterprise and all the financial dealings, and keeping everything airtight, and keeping the information, hiding the information from the stakeholders and shareholders. And when these enterprises became fiefdoms of few people, few families who were manipulating all this, there came a time of their decline. So they needed new intelligence. They needed new strength, new power, new engagement of the new minds and new intelligence, and new urge to do better. So they opened up, and it became participatory enterprise. With the advent of information technology, where the whole enterprise is based on everyone's intelligent inputs, every employee is an intelligent input. We are depending in IT industry on the intelligence of our every worker and every employee. So from money, because the first qualification of participation in any enterprise, from sole proprietors and sons and private limited companies and public limited companies, everything was moving around money. If somebody has spare money, could buy the shares and stake into any enterprise. And if he has enough, could buy out the whole thing. So money was the sole condition. But with the advent of information technology, money was replaced by intelligence. Of course, money is still the stock. But now we are grafting on this local stock. Now we are grafting other kind of flowers with other beautiful exotic flowers and beautiful and exotic fruits on the same stock. We are grafting intelligence. We are bringing in that participatory enterprise. So from public limited company we have moved to the participatory enterprise of the IT industry, where the employees become partners in progress. So the whole structure, the whole attitude of doing business has changed. The ecosystem has changed. And all these employees have become participants and partners in progress. So much so, because we needed these local stocks, these local corporate bodies, needed new flowers, new exotic colors, new intelligence, new fruits. So they crafted these new buds, new twigs and new branches and new intelligence and new ecosystem of intelligence through this participatory enterprise. And then we have come to this, like the employer, the owner will give a certain participation, a certain stakehold in the whole enterprise to this employee. This employee who brings in the intelligence, who contributes to the progress of this enterprise to become as the partners in progress. What incredible evolution from starting and beginning with Ansons. And before Ansons, it was sole proprietorship. From sole proprietorship, which was based on the fear, insecurity, I don't know how to trust anybody. I don't know how to trust even my sons. But later on we started growing and we trusted our own sons, family members, and we made it Ansons. Then we were not so scared anymore, and we evolved into the private limited enterprises, and then to the public limited enterprises, and then now to the participatory enterprises. This is the evolution. And let me tell you what will be the future later in the 21st century, and what could be the best model of 21st century enterprise, the apex of the evolution. And this will be rotational ownership, where the ownership will be rotated. We will have the legal framework to establish this kind of partnership, to establish this kind of rotational ownership. Because we all know that with the humanity, a human being doesn't need only the material prosperity, but a human being also needs mental prosperity, the spiritual progress, the path to immortality. And that is why the great Rishi says, Mrityotma Amratgame, let me move from mortality to immortality. So a human being, doesn't matter who that human being is, and he is so rich and he holds so many corporations, but he is tired of this great dance of consumerism, of this great dance of ego, of this great dance of this folly and fanaticism, of self-glory and self-aggrandizement. And then he says, enough is enough, I need a break. So he will say, all right, I go on a holiday, extended holiday, that I would love to go and enjoy the nature around, enjoy the Garden of Eden on earth, and I would love to be on the seaside, and I would love to be in jungle, in a hut and a tree house, and I would love to enjoy the greatest grandeur available to me on planet Earth. And he goes and he takes a leave and gives this throne of this kingdom. He passes the ownership of this kingdom to someone who is already at that level to control it, to manage it. Like in the old times, the Indian kings used to leave everything behind, the whole kingdom, and go to the jungle and do their spiritual sadhana. Like the greatest Rishi, the Raj Rishi, Vishwamitra, who became the friend of the whole universe. That was his name given to him through his wisdom, spiritual wisdom. Because he left the whole kingdom and he became a great yogi, the greatest yogi of his times, Vishwamitra, the great Raj Rishi. So there will be a day in 21st century, later in the 21st century, in case we don't destroy ourselves, in case we don't commit the suicide, collective suicide, in case these masters, 1% masters, will come out of their animal existence. They will come out of their sadism, and they will become our brothers and sisters of this 99% of the humanity which is suffering under the terrible poverty and terrible hunger all over the planet. And these 1% masters will come out of their animal mode of existence, of this sadism, reactive behavior, or fight and flight behavior, that either they fight, they destroy the whole planet through their corporate giants, or they are planning to run away from here, the flight. When they will become our brothers and sisters, when they will become the great yogis, when they will leave these enterprises through the rotational ownership, that they will say, okay, I go away for 10 years to enjoy the nature and Garden of Eden, and when I come back, I must be allowed back. The whole ownership must be handed over to me, because this time I would like to serve the whole humanity through my enterprise. So he gets the second chance. It is like the regeneration. It is like the rebirth. And it is like the resurrections of the Jesus Christ. Thank you very much, my brothers and sisters. And we will wait for that beautiful day in 21st century of the evolution of these enterprises of rotational ownership. Thank you very much and have a very, very beautiful day.